welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the Bible, exploring the powerful symbolism woven through its pages. From Genesis to Revelation, everyday elements take on profound meaning, offering us glimpses into the divine, and few are as multifaceted as salt. Join me as we uncover 12 powerful uses of salt in the Bible, unveiling its spiritual significance and how it speaks to the very essence of our relationship with the divine.
In the ancient world, long before modern preservatives, salt was cherished for its ability to keep things pure, to hold decay at bay. It's no wonder then that salt became deeply intertwined with the idea of holiness, of remaining undefiled. In Leviticus, we hear the Lord instructing Moses, "Season all your grain offerings with salt. Do not leave the salt of the covenant of your God out of your grain offerings. Add salt to all your offerings."
This wasn't merely about taste, this was about symbolism. The salt, you see, represented the enduring covenant between God and his people, a bond meant to be uncorrupted, incorruptible. Just as salt preserved the purity of food, this covenant was meant to preserve the sanctity of their relationship with the Almighty.
Across cultures and throughout history, certain rituals transcended the ordinary, becoming sacred acts that bound people together. In ancient Israel, salt played a central role in these sacred rites. The book of Numbers tells us that the Lord declared that every offering made to Aaron and his sons should be seasoned with salt, signifying a covenant of salt, a lasting ordinance.
This wasn't just a tradition, it was a powerful symbol. The very act of adding salt to the offering signified an unbreakable bond, a solemn agreement made before God. This use of salt speaks to the gravity of the covenant, a reminder of the enduring promise between God and his chosen people. Salt in its simplest form has an incredible ability, preservation. It wards off decay, keeping things from spoiling.
In the book of Matthew, Jesus uses this very image to describe his followers. He calls them the salt of the earth, implying a responsibility they carry.
Just as salt prevents food from going bad, Christians are meant to be a preserving influence on the world, combating moral decay and spreading the timeless message of love and hope. Their presence, like salt, should counter the forces of darkness and strive to make the world a better place. Think about the role salt plays in our meals. It doesn't change the food itself, but it enhances its flavor, bringing out the best in each ingredient.
This too is a reflection of how believers are called to live. Their faith shouldn't make them withdrawn from the world, but should instead season it with kindness, compassion, and grace. They're meant to interact with the world, enhancing the lives of those around them, much like salt elevates the taste of a simple dish.
The Bible also uses salt in a cautionary way. In the book of Genesis, we encounter the story of Lot's wife. As Sodom and Gomorrah faced divine judgment, Lot and his family were warned not to look back.
Yet overcome by longing for her old life, Lot's wife disobeyed.
Her disobedience, her inability to let go of the past resulted in a tragic fate. She was turned into a pillar of salt. This stark image serves as a timeless reminder of the importance of obedience and the dangers of clinging to a sinful past. Salt, a simple mineral, often overlooked in its everyday use, yet it held a profound place in the rituals of ancient Israel. This humble substance was more than just a seasoning, it was a symbol of purity and preservation. It wasn't just about the flavor, enhancing the taste of food. No, it was about something more, something sacred, Salt was a covenant, a binding agreement between the people and their God.
The very act of incorporating salt into their offerings, a practice deeply rooted in their traditions, as described in the book of Ezekiel, was a gesture of sanctity and devotion. It was a way to ensure that their offerings were pure and acceptable, speaks to a deep reverence for the divine. Each grain, meticulously added, a testament to their devotion, a physical manifestation of their faith and commitment, a tangible symbol of their commitment to something greater than themselves. This act of adding salt was not just a ritual, but a profound expression of their spiritual journey.
Imagine the crackle of the fire, the warmth emanating from the flames, the scent of burning wood and herbs filling the air, creating an atmosphere of reverence and solemnity, and then the subtle yet distinct presence of salt. This simple act of sprinkling salt transformed the offering, making it sacred. It was an act of purification, a way to cleanse and sanctify the offering, a way of making the offering worthy in the eyes of God. The salt symbolized the eternal covenant between the divine and the people.
This seemingly insignificant act reminds us that even the smallest gestures can carry immense spiritual weight, that the simplest elements can hold profound meaning, a timeless lesson that transcends the boundaries of time and culture. It teaches us that devotion and reverence can be found in the most ordinary of things, and that these small acts of faith are what connect us to the divine.
Throughout history, salt has been recognized for its healing properties, from cleansing wounds to soothing aches. Its therapeutic benefits have been known for millennia. But could there be more to it than meets the eye?
Could salt's ability to heal the physical body also point to a deeper spiritual truth?
In the scriptures, we often find parallels between the physical and the spiritual. Just as salt can draw out impurities from a wound, faith, like a spiritual salve, can cleanse our hearts and minds from negativity and doubt.
It's a reminder that healing, in its truest sense, encompasses not just the body, but the soul as well.
Jesus, a master storyteller, often used everyday objects to convey profound spiritual truths. He spoke of seeds, of lamps, and of the simple, everyday items that people could easily relate to. These objects were not just props in his stories. They were symbols, rich with meaning and significance. Among these objects, one of the most powerful was salt.
In his parables, salt wasn't just a seasoning, it was a metaphor for the impact his followers were to have on the world. Salt, in the ancient world, was incredibly valuable. It was used not only to flavor food, but also to preserve it, to keep it from spoiling. This dual purpose made it an apt symbol for the role of believers. Just as salt enhances the flavor of food, so too were they meant to enhance the world with their actions and their faith. Their presence was to bring out the best in others, to preserve goodness, and to prevent moral decay.
But he also warned against losing their saltiness, against becoming bland and ineffective. If salt loses its flavor, it is no longer good for anything, except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. This was a stark reminder that their faith needed to be active and alive, not stagnant or superficial. It was a call to authenticity, a reminder that their faith should be a vibrant, active force in their lives, not a passive belief. Their actions, their words, and their very presence should reflect the teachings of Jesus, making a tangible difference in the world around them.
These parables, though spoken centuries ago, still resonate deeply today, urging us to examine our own lives. They challenge us to consider whether we are living out our faith in a way that truly impacts those around us. Are we, like salt, enhancing and preserving the goodness in the world? And consider how we, like salt, can make a difference in the world. In our daily interactions, in our communities, and in the broader society, we are called to be agents of change, to bring flavor and preservation to a world in need. The message of salt is timeless, reminding us that our faith is not just for ourselves, but for the benefit of all.
In the dust of ancient times, salt was more than just a seasoning, it was a treasure, a necessity.
Roman soldiers, those stoic pillars of an empire, received part of their wages in salt. Can you imagine that?
The salarium, as it was called, is where we get our word salary. It speaks to the very real value placed on this simple mineral. Salt in those days wasn't just sprinkled on food, it sustained empires.
And this reverence for salt wasn't unique to Rome. Across the ancient world, from the bustling marketplaces of Jerusalem to the far reaches of the Persian Empire, salt was a currency of kings and a staple of life.
This cultural weight, this understanding of salt as something precious, something essential, adds another layer to its significance in the biblical narrative. In the ancient world, a bond sealed with salt wasn't easily broken. Salt, a simple yet essential mineral, held a profound significance in many cultures. It was more than just a seasoning, it was a symbol of purity, preservation, and permanence. When two parties shared salt, they were entering into a sacred agreement, one that was meant to last a lifetime. To share bread and salt with someone was a sacred act, a pledge of hospitality and trust. This act of sharing was not taken lightly. It was a gesture that transcended mere sustenance, representing a deep bond of fellowship and mutual respect. In many cultures, to break bread and share salt was to welcome someone into your home and life, to offer them protection and friendship. It was a promise whispered across the table. I will not betray you. This simple act of sharing salt was a powerful declaration of loyalty and trust. It was a way of saying, I am with you and I will stand by you. In a world where trust could be a rare commodity, this ritual was a way to solidify bonds and ensure mutual support.
This ancient custom echoes through the pages of the Bible, where salt is intertwined with the very idea of covenant. In biblical times, salt was used in various rituals and offerings, symbolizing the eternal nature of God's promises. The covenant of salt mentioned in the scriptures was a divine agreement, unbreakable and everlasting, much like the mineral itself. Just as salt preserved food, it preserved relationships, solidifying bonds of loyalty and friendship. In a time before refrigeration, salt was essential for keeping food from spoiling. Similarly, the act of sharing salt helped to preserve the integrity of relationships, ensuring that they remain strong and uncorrupted over time.
Think of it, a simple, readily available mineral, yet imbued with such profound meaning. Salt was accessible to everyone, yet its significance was universal. It was a reminder that the most ordinary things in life can hold the deepest meanings. This humble mineral was a cornerstone of human connection, a symbol of the promises we make and the trust we place in one another. It speaks to the power of tradition, the enduring significance of rituals that bind us together. These ancient practices, passed down through generations, remind us of our shared humanity. They connect us to our ancestors and to each other, creating a sense of continuity and belonging. In a world that is constantly changing, these rituals provide a sense of stability and community, and
in a world often driven by self-interest, the act of sharing salt, of offering sustenance and pledging loyalty stands as a timeless testament to the enduring human need for connection and trust. This simple act, repeated countless times throughout history, reminds us of the importance of coming together, of supporting one another, and of the unbreakable bonds that can be formed through the sharing of something as simple as salt.
the book of Proverbs draws a compelling parallel between salt and wisdom.
The lips of the righteous nourish many, it says, but fools die for lack of wisdom.
Just as salt enhances the flavor of food, wisdom adds depth and meaning to our words and actions. It helps us navigate the complexities of life, guiding us towards righteousness and understanding.
Salt, in its ability to preserve, reminds us of the lasting impact of wise words. They have the power to endure, to guide generations, and to leave behind a legacy of knowledge and insight.
In the Gospel of Mark, Jesus imparts a profound message, urging his disciples to have salt in yourselves.
This isn't a call for literal consumption, but a metaphorical instruction for spiritual development. The salt within, in this context, speaks to the very essence of our being, the core of our character. It signifies integrity, righteousness, and an unwavering commitment to the teachings of Christ.
This inner salt, much like its physical counterpart, acts as a preservative, protecting us from the decay of sin and guiding us towards eternal life. It is a constant reminder of our commitment to God and the values He embodies. From covenants and sacrifices to wisdom and eternal life, the symbolism of salt in the Bible offers a rich tapestry of meaning. It reminds us of our relationship with the divine, the importance of our actions, and the enduring power of faith. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more biblical explorations. Stay tuned for our next video. And remember to keep the salt of wisdom in your life.